What's happening guys, it's Abhinav from PhoneBunch and this is our full review of the LeEco Le2 smartphone which comes with CDLA technology. There's a lot of stuff going on here which we'll talk about. First, let's get the specs out of the way. So you have a 5.5-inch 1080p IPS display, Snapdragon 652 octa-core processor inside, 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of onboard storage, 3000 mAh non-removable battery. And now that's done, let's get to the build and design of the phone. At the bottom of the phone you'll find the single speaker which is on the right, USB Type-C port which does support fast charging, and the primary microphone on the left. Now the Le2 is a dual SIM smartphone, however storage is not expandable here. So you have just 2 SIM card slots which accept nano SIM cards, and you have 4G with VoLTE support here. At the top of the phone you'll find the IR blaster. It's not something I really use, but yes, it does work fine. I did test it out a couple of times. Next up, if we move to the right of the device, you'll find the volume rocker as well as the power button. Both are sturdy and they do offer excellent feedback. Moreover, they don't wobble even a little bit. They are made out of metal, which does help in that aspect. At the back of the phone, you'll find the 16 megapixel camera, dual tone LED flash, you have a noise cancellation mic which does the job pretty well, especially during calls, and you have the fingerprint sensor right there. Now the phone actually does feel good to hold in hand. It's about 7.5 mm in thickness and it is quite light at about 153 grams. It is made out of metal entirely. The rounded sides coupled with that chamfered edge actually make the phone easier to hold. Now in the front you do have a notification LED, proximity and light sensors along with the 8 megapixel camera. You can see the notification LED glowing green at the moment. If you move to the bottom of the device, just below the display you have capacitive buttons which do light up only when they are tapped on. Now you have this 5.5-inch display which is plenty sharp, good color reproduction as well, and you can tweak the color saturation levels. However, it's not the most bright display out there and sunlight legibility is just about average. But it does have wide viewing angles and the higher contrast does help with that. You can see the blacks are really deep. Now there has been a lot of talk about this. The display on the LeEco Le2 does creak when it is pressed hard. This doesn't happen with other phones, nor does it happen with the Le1S from the same company. Now the official position of the company on this is not an issue. This is the build of the device. And I may somewhat agree with that because it doesn't happen until you press really hard on the display. But that being said, this really doesn't happen on other devices. I really don't know whether this will cause any harm in the future or whether it would lead to any hardware issues, but all I can say right now is that I've been using this phone for the last 2 weeks and this hasn't really bothered me at all. I hope that does answer your queries because this is the question that I've been asked most about this phone. With that, now let's get to network and call quality. Now call quality is actually quite good on this device. The speakerphone, the earpiece, both are quite loud. Moreover, you have call recording built in as well. That's a feature many people use nowadays. Wi-Fi reception was very good on the device as well. And there are some neat features available here. Like you can add calls to a block list which is built into the dialer itself, and you can have automatic call recording too, which we had enabled as you saw in the dialer previously. Then you have support for dual band Wi-Fi. Both the 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz bands are supported. And there are a plethora of sensors on this device. Gyroscope, magnetic field sensor, you have everything. And I do want to add a word about GPS navigation as well, where we didn't have any issues. It was able to find location very quickly. With that, let's come to the rear camera. It does capture images quickly as you saw there. Good shutter speed. There are a few scene modes available right here. The camera interface is quite alright. Now the thing with this camera is that it really cannot focus with nearby objects. That's the only issue I have come across, at least with the camera interface. It has phase detection autofocus, but still that's something it is lacking. Now talking about the front camera, images did turn out a bit grainy when we were indoors, but it still does a decent job. Now when outdoors, this camera actually does perform quite well. It captures good amount of detail, color saturation levels are also good, especially if you are in the shade. Exposure control is something this camera does struggle with at times. Then there is focusing. If you're trying to focus on very nearby objects like macro shots, well, this camera struggles quite a lot. You have to take the camera a bit back to be able to tap to focus. But once done, images do turn out quite good. Lower levels of noise, especially when you are outside. Decent color reproduction, even though images do turn out slightly undersaturated. good bokeh effect too. You have that f2.0 lens there. Now overall, this is a pretty average camera even when we talk about outdoors. When we come indoors, well, it gets a below average because there's a lot of noise that is introduced in the environment and colors do degrade quite a bit. HDR mode does help in that aspect, but not by that huge a margin. Now if you talk about video quality, now this is 4K footage which has been downscaled to 1080p, and even at 4K the videos do look a bit soft. They are not as sharp as taken with other phones. Overall, the cameras on the LeTV are actually quite average. There are issues with focusing here. There is no continuous autofocus in videos. That is something I would have liked. The fingerprint sensor is positioned perfectly here. Now let's test that out too. So setting it up is actually very easy. It's just a couple of steps, it gets through, and you can see that it is actually quite fast. It works every single time and seems to be more accurate than last time around. Now let's talk about something really great on this phone. These are the CDLA headphones that now come bundled with the phone. Now they are all built of plastic and they have an LED orange one that you see right here glowing right now when they are plugged into the phone. Now there are two things about these headphones. First of all, they get really loud. You really can't hear them at full volume and they are quite bass heavy. Apart from that, these actually do sound quite good. Everything is clear. The highs are pronounced quite well. The mids do get slightly muddled because of that heavy bass, but apart from that, still good audio quality. You also get a USB Type-C to 3.5 adapter in the box, and I've heard so many people complaining that they would lose this, it's so hard to find, blah blah blah. Well, everybody generally uses just one kind of headphone. So instead of carrying this separately, just plug your headphones into this and you would never lose it. So I really don't think this is such a major con of the device. In fact, the better audio quality substitutes for quite a lot of that. Even the speaker here is quite loud, it is clear, and truth be told, audio quality on this phone is far better than other smartphones available within the same price segment. And just as an addendum, video playback is very smooth. With that, now let's come to another aspect, software. So the LeTV is running on Android 6.0 Marshmallow based EUI. Now there is a bit of customization baked in. You can add themes, widgets, change wallpapers, quite a lot there. Now I have noticed a few issues with this phone. WhatsApp notifications, Facebook notifications, they just stop coming after a little while. Now you have to keep the app logged in the task manager if you want their notifications to appear. The phone just kills their services which actually should be running in the background. Now sometimes even open apps just disappear. That happened with YouTube, that happened with Chrome as well multiple number of times. Now memory management, although it is quite good on the device, the garbage collection doesn't take heed of which apps are open in the front, it just wipes them off even if the user is interacting with them. But all is not lost here. This can be very easily fixed with an OTA update. It's very minor. And you are getting quite a lot of new things with Android Marshmallow. You have Google Now on tap available here as well. It works out perfectly. Then you have app permissions built in as well. So everything that Android Marshmallow comes with, including doze mode for better battery life, that is available on this phone. Now one thing you may not like here is that storage is not expandable, but even after filling this phone to the brim with lots of games, music, videos, you can see that we still have more than 10 gigs available right now. So I don't think so storage should be that huge of a problem. Even in terms of performance, I didn't notice any issue with this device. There was no lag while web browsing. Apps open up quite quickly, the animations are quite slick here, and if I just show you, even after opening so many apps, if I just go back to Chrome, you will see that it is still kept in memory. So yes, as I was saying earlier, memory management is good on the device, but sometimes even open apps get garbage collected. In terms of gaming, this phone performed quite good too. There were a few frame drops here and there, but most of the games, even the higher end ones, performed brilliantly, and the best part is that this phone didn't heat up even with extended gameplay. With that, let's come to battery life, which is a bit erratic on the device. On some days I was able to get through an entire day without having to charge the phone, which actually charges very quickly in about 1.5 hours. On other days I had to charge it in the evening. So on average I got a screen on time of 4 to 4.5 hours, which is actually quite good in this price segment. Well folks, it's now time for a conclusion. The removal of the 3.5mm audio jack really doesn't bother me. I get the USB Type-C headphones bundled, and I also get the USB Type-C to 3.5mm audio adapter within the box, so no concern there. Although the cameras here do need quite a bit of work, especially in the software department. Then there's a display creaking, which only happens when you press it hard, so it's not really an issue, but can it lead to anything in the future? That's something I cannot answer for you. Overall, the rest of the build on the device is really solid. It feels good to hold in hand, it doesn't feel hefty, and performs brilliantly. Now at Rs 11,999, there are a few options priced lower or above this phone. Can I recommend this over the Redmi Note 3? Well, at present I really cannot. But if you still want good audio experience, good gameplay, this phone is definitely worth a look. Well folks, those are my 2 cents on the LeEco Le2. I hope this video helped you in deciding which phone to buy. If you have any questions about this or any other device, do it us in the comment section. Thanks for watching this video. Do subscribe for more reviews, and as always, have a great day.